to Texas Politics Simplified, a weekly series where I break down Texas political terms, systems, and elections in a way that actually makes sense. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that button. Politics sounds complicated on purpose. And if it's ever made you feel confused or overwhelmed, that's exactly why we're talking about it. I'm Heather, and this is the Audacity to Care. Let's break it down.
Imagine voting in an election and then being told, yeah, we're not done yet. That's exactly what a runoff election is. And most people don't even understand why we have them. Quick breakdown because this is where people get confused. Our first term is primary election. This is where political parties choose their candidate. A runoff election, this happens when no candidate gets enough votes to win outright. So the top two have to go head to head. In Texas, a candidate has to get more than 50% of the vote to win that primary. And if nobody hits that number, we don't just pick the top two people. We have to go to a runoff. So those top two candidates, those two people with the most votes move forward to that runoff. And this is still within the same party. Democrat versus Democrat, Republican versus Republican. We're not against each other just yet. So once you understand that 50% rule, the runoff thing starts to make a lot more sense. So why do runoffs even exist? Why are we doing this again? Because the goal is to make sure that the person who moves forward actually has majority support, not just the most votes in a crowded race. Now, let's say there are 4 or 5 candidates. Someone could win with about 30% of the votes, but that means 70% of the voters picked someone else. So runoffs are basically a second round to say, now choose between the top two. Now, what exactly does this mean for you? Because this is where people check out, and they shouldn't. You can't. Because runoff elections usually have an even lower turnout than the first round. So if you showed up for the primary, we need you to show up again for the runoff. And if you did not show up for the primary, you can still show up to the runoff. And I'm going to get more to that in a minute. The people who show up for these runoffs, they have a huge impact on who actually moves forward. Now let's go over some common misconceptions. Because a lot of people will think things like, I already voted, I'm done. Or it's the same thing again, I don't need to do it again. Or it probably doesn't even matter that much. But all those are wrong. This is literally the final decision for that party's candidate. This is the moment where it actually gets decided. So how can you participate? You can only vote in one party's runoff, which is the same party you voted in during the primary. Now, you don't have to register as that party because Texas doesn't work like that. But your primary vote determines which runoff you can vote in. So if in the primary you voted Democrat, you also have to vote Democrat for the runoff. And even more important, if you did not vote in the primary, that is okay. You can still vote in the runoff. You just have to choose one party. I know, runoff elections might feel like extra work, but they're actually where the final decision gets made. And we need you to show up. If you care about who ends up on the ballot, and you should, this is not the part to skip. Because we're not just voting once and calling it a day. We are paying attention all the way through. If this helped make things make sense, stay with me because we're breaking all of this down one piece at a time.
This has been Texas Politics Simplified. I'll see you on the next one. Be sure to drop any questions you have down below in the comments, and I'm happy to answer them.